Hello, my name is Alicia Light and welcome to this video. I'll show you an updated guide on how to make Windows XP a lot more functional and secure while showing our tips of when you air gap the system, or if you must go online, which browser should you go to and which should you use when using the internet. And I'll also show you the best alternatives to Microsoft Office for Windows XP, or if you must use Office, then I'll show you which version to pick. You can pick Office XP 2002, 2007, and 2010. Those versions are the last and the first middle one for Windows XP to run. And I'll also show you how to install and configure Legacy Update, which includes all of the Windows Post Ready 2009 updates which you will install in this video. I'll also show you about how to update MSN Messenger 7.0 with a specialized community patch called Escargot. Now, Escargot is a revival tool which uses to make the old MSN Messenger 7.0 service to work. Okay. Now, without further ado, we should begin. Now, first, I'll open up my virtual machine software, and then I will use VMware for this tutorial. And I would be creating my own new virtual machine. I'll click on new virtual machine, and in this window, I click on typical, next, and I'm going to select Windows XP Professional as the system. Next, and then I will type in my product key. In the past, people were used to hiding their product keys for security reasons, but as Microsoft dropped the servers, but while the telephone is functional for activation, many people use this practice because Windows XP today is a niche or a hobby, but I think that I would also develop a secure version of Windows XP that it will call the version as a standard again, like it was used to be. Full name I will type in as Windows XP user. I'll type in a password if I wish, but I would leave that default and click on next. Those optional. In the name, I would cut out the two, then I will type in, then with updates and updates, etc. That's the name of what I want to do. Next, and then again next, and then finish. Wait for it to come up. There we go. And when it starts to install, it will install Windows XP Professional onto the system. And do not worry, my computer is much slower because I changed the frame rate to 30 frame rates per second on my video. And so based on the files, and We would allow it to load up, but my computer is slow, that's why I would uh, change my FPS rate and I'll be back until this is done. And when this will be able to complete, I'll select remove my data. And when you will be able to allow it to install onto the virtual machine's hard drive, then I'll show you how to make it a lot more secure. And when it boots up into the desktop, and then I would then show you how to disable SMB v1 and RDP also, while keeping the step which is if you must go online, which while keeping the step which is if you must go online as a main daily basis system, then what should you do? While keeping that basis in the video. And when you would start to boot it up into the Windows XP setup screen, I would also show you a guide to entering your language and your region, where you live, your password, your username, and etc. But this does not require the Windows XP OOB screen. It only requires you to just enter the product key, your language and region, etc. Which is only at the first portion of the setup. It's going to be starting the computer. And it is now the setup screen. And then when you will be able to install the drivers with VMware tools or VirtualBox extensions, but VirtualBox will also work for this video tutorial. But though when it, despite this slightly different interface, it should be working with a Windows XP VirtualBox VM, though you need to share a folder first. Even if you add a new file for the folder, then you do not need to delete the folder that needs to be added. It can automatically add the folder with more and more software to add while we're doing that is for you. And remember that, okay? Now I should let's install, and when it's done that, it should be able to boot into the desktop. I would also show you how to configure the themes. No, not the themes. I mean the desktop wallpaper and the Windows XP sounds. and I will show you how to do that. And well, but sorry for the long wait that the video is not being able to showcase the language regional pass username and product key entry because the reason why is that because VMware uses an automated base installer, which is often called Easy Installer. But VirtualBox does that what I'm talking about. That is the one that VirtualBox only does. That VMware is not being able to do. Because VMware and VirtualBox is all separate and different bases and works different too between each other software. And that's why I'm not being able to film the middle part of this portion, which is entering your red language region and country, etc., which is crucial for Windows to run, just like you do in a VirtualBox or a physical PC. VMware does not being able to do that. That's why I have to install the automated installer. Now, when that finishes, I would show you then to install Legacy Update and the Sublime web browser, and I also show you how to install one core API that is unstable and is still experimental base, but rather I would instead install Avast Antivirus along with already installed Sublime web browser, Legacy Update, and the Windows Password 2009 updates, and etc., which I was talking about in this video. It says because I would have to wait, even the world and even all my followers and subscribers still need to wait of when will one core API will be stable and fully functional. I've also saw blog posts and negative reviews etc. of people reporting that one core API broke USB support drivers, USB KB, no, USB KB is my own form of keyboard, but I would say the word keyboard. Uh, One core API previously broke USB keyboard or short form KB and now is USB support, along with monitor VGA drivers now functioning, and the PC was in blue screen and or even a BSOD, blue screen of death. And that what users happened when and even the Windows XP installation was corrupted. And users highly recommended reinstalling Windows XP on a fresh, clean partition, which can take days to install, depending on your hard drive, depending on your sector, boot sector, and hard drive sector, etc. And even depending on your hard drive platform, the HDD or the SD. And still, I would highly recommend you to not install one core API, which I would avoid in this video tutorial, because even when I said that I'll install this video, is that because even the final release, but they're still producing a new version of the platform, still makes Windows XP buggy and unstable, etc. And that's why even with the latest release of one core API, I would highly recommend you to not install it on your PC or your system. And when it boots into the setup screen, now it's a Windows XP boot screen. And what you look at is that the first preview of the desktop. And when you would now this is the screen which you would get the OBE, but it's not in this video. Because I'm using VMware Workstation and you're using VirtualBox. Just as an example. Even when you are using them both in reality. I use my own and use your own. Even as an example. But I would mostly focus on the OS and not the software stuff which I'm and you are using. And now it's going to be losing. It's going to be booting into the desktop of Windows XP. Now, you should be able to make sure that you download the SP3 Spec 3 release, which most people have downloaded instead of the SP2 base. Now, it is going to be installing VMware Tools in this moment. I will stop this and then I will allow it to install VMware. Click on this to do confirmation. Click on the screen. The start menu is popped up on your screen and everything else is working fine as it would on your PC. You can see here my I will show you at the end of the intro. My host PC start menu has customized design. When I go to all programs, instead of the faded link, it statically appears. And then those are the applications which I would have installed. That's what my host PC is, and that what a virtual machine is. And it's going to be installing VMware Tools onto the virtual hard disk. And meanwhile, I'll open up my web browser, and then I will show you is to install Legacy Update. Click that and it will resume browsing with Legacy Update. And I'll go to this link. This would also work in Internet Explorer. Because this website avoids using complex technology, etc. that modern websites expect. And that could be fully compatible with Internet Explorer in this case. Even when this website is only working with this no, even with the website is only working with modern web browsers, it could also support and run Internet Explorer or even Firefox based or even early Firefox web browsers like 1.x, 2.x, 3.x or 4.x, 5.x or 6.x. Depending on the version, but I should be the most earlier version ever. Because this website uses an older user interface that's fully compatible, and it uses heavy text and fewer features, which is dark mode, etc. Only the traditional light mode, and it uses HTML 4.x, 3.x, 2.x, and even 1.x, which is also fully compatible with. And that is what you are going to encounter when you would start the update. Next, I would go to the link for Supermeme. I'll type in Supermeme downloads. And then next, I would click on this, and then I'll click on the plus sign, new tabs, and I'll also type in the Avast Antivirus 18.8 downloads. Next, I would prepare all of those links after Windows XP has fully installed. I would try to look for no, there's plenty of those websites that need to download. Okay, and then I would auto fit guest. There we go. And in Legacy Update, I would go to the download center, click on that. I would click on Windows XP. And no, I would download. There we go. You need to install by clicking on this here. I thought that I had to click on this, but I found this. Next, when that's done, I would be able to drag and drop, and then I would create a new folder on my virtual machine desktop, which is Windows XP updates, etc. And then I'll drag and drop this legacy update onto this installer. No, I mean the folder. And just go to this now I need to download the Sublime 1.22. No, I mean the 122. Download the security patch. Next, I'll download the 32-bit version. And then next, when it's done that, I'll just open up this here, drag and drop. and also search open OpenOffice 3.4.1 download, and also do that. And then next I would download MS Office. No, I'll download Magic ISO. I'll resume browsing. And then next I would download this. Down. The next thing I would also install VLC Media Player. I would download the 3.0.20, which is currently the latest one. Look at this. No, do not click the file box. Instead, click on this. And then you would go ahead and I would download it for Windows. And then when it's done that, you would be able to drag and drop it into your desktop. I would also download Avast Antivirus 18.8. But that does not be able to activate you because no. I mean that you are not being able to activate the software because they have dropped their old 2018 servers long before the video which is filmed today. I'll download Magic ISO, and then next I would use this to install Microsoft Office. No, to install Microsoft Office 2003. And then next, I'll drag and drop this onto the desktop. Next, I would go ahead and then I would be able to relaunch downloads. And then I would now this is now being downloading this software. Now something wrong was in the message, but this should be okay. Wait for it to go up. There we go. Next, I drag and drop this onto this batch machine. Next, I would move all of those setup files onto this folder. And we're done. Now this folder is working perfectly fine, as you can see here. Now, we need to do a few things. One, go right click, properties, and then I would add my documents and my computer icon and etc. Okay, apply and OK. That's the perfect Windows XP experience. Now, I would instead focus on the install legacy updates. I would enable Windows Embedded 2009 updates and then install. Next, it will be able to install the performing actions. Now we are able to follow this video tutorial. The process was quite slow with downloading and preparing the website for you to in this video, but it was quite still fast enough. Now, the video is now being quicker. Now, the Internet Explorer website is popping up, and in the legacy updates window, you would check for the latest updates for your computer. And then next, I would turn on automatic updates, and I would allow it to turn on every Saturday at 7 a.m. Okay. Now I've downloaded all of the updates, and I've now edited my video here. I would now then just go ahead and I would go to my documents, download, visit all of the apps which I reinstalled. I'll drag and drop to this window. There we go. Now I would copy those updates because I want to post those updates in the Internet Archive. Now I'll create my own archive. No, not Internet Archive, just hold it's typing undo typing. Please agreed for Internet Archive uploads. Making it fully by each which I uploaded to. Oh, control V this, and then that is what I did. This is number one next to it, so I'll delete this. Well, there we go. What's that? And the next is done. Now I would install those updates and I'll go next. I agree. Next. And then just going to be backing up the files that the Windows update servers think that your PC, by music conversion machine in this case, is a Windows embedded machine or a virtual machine. depending on which device you use. I use a virtual machine in this case. We're starting, and I will be back when the process is done because it's taking it will take too long to download and install those updates. That's the reason why I'll cut this video. Then I will be back when this process is done. Now I've fully installed the updates. Now next I'll move on to anti-air gap and anti-air gap. Now Windows XP is particularly vulnerable to install some security flaws when using the internet. And that applies to most people. And to me as well, nothing happens when I use it on the internet because I use a NAT-enabled strong firewall secure 5G router. You should do the same as well like I have if you must go. Now for that strategy you need to use pseudonym in this case, and that's one web browser that should be retrieved. I've really downloaded these updates, but I've skipped the 2 new uploads because I was getting tired. Despite that, I would install pseudonym into this install, and should be wait till it fully extracts. Next, create your personal pseudonym, install without modifying the registry, and I'll click on OK to install. Ready to install, and it has successfully installed. Now we need to install the auxiliary player. Okay, next, install. It is going to be extracting the VLC media player setup file. And wait for it to extract. Now it's going to be creating the app folder, and it's going to be moving the VLC.exe file in there. But when you roll, I'll close this below. Incompleted. Now I'll run the VLC media player. And continue, and then I'm going to reach unless one more setup is locked. Now this is fully functional. We need to install Magic ISO. Next, and then I'll install this. Finish. Successfully installed. Now, next we need to install Avast Free Antivirus. And wait for it to come up. Close this window off. And this is installing Avast. I'll wait, pause a bit until this is done. Now I need to install this. It should be able to install as fast. but obviously it's just taking too long to install. Now I would allow you to install into this hard drive. And when that installs onto the PC, I would also show you that when to air gap or when to not air gap your system. Even when I have Superman installed, only for demonstration before you commit to install Superman. Okay, and remember that. It's taking too long to install. And now this is functional, but I need to pause this bit because this is still slow and not fast enough. And the next, when that's done, I would also show you which version of Windows we run on. We're running on Windows XP Professional. And we also need to ensure that we have Superman and OpenOffice installed. Now I have a OpenOffice shortcut on my desktop. I no longer need to point to the installation files. I'll just drag and drop it to my desktop, to the VM. And I would pause this bit until this is done. And our artificial intelligence is now showing some viruses, spyware, and other threats. Continue. Next, I would just close this off, and I would install OpenOffice. And when I install OpenOffice, I would need to ensure that it allows us to install. Now we need to pause this bit. I would click on the OpenOffice 3.41 package, and then I would allow it to install onto the PC, and I'll be back until it's installed. And when you just done installing it, you need to focus on the next thing we need to do in the video. It is still not responding. I need to still install. No, I need to quit this window of Avast antivirus. Meanwhile, I will reset this virtual machine and I would restart the PC, and when it boots up into the Windows XP desktop, and then the next thing we need to do is we need to now I would instead I would focus on installing Microsoft Office XP. Now drag and drop it. I'll pause this bit. I'm instead copying the file. No, I'm in the folder to my desktop. And when it's done that, you need to just boot the Office XP sort of screen. Because when you need to do that, you need to do around configurations. We need to do. And when it's done that, you need to, I would organize them on the desktop. I'll open this folder. And in this here, you need to run this sort of file. I would run this as a setup file, and then I would, set this up. I should have set my frame rate per second rate to 5 FPS instead of the 15 FPS. You can see here now my computer is slow and buggy when 15 FPS, but at 5 FPS, which is automatic to my Camtasia recording softwares, the PC works reliable and fast. And that's the reason why I chose to stick to 5 FPS before I could even switch to 15 FPS. The Windows installer is cannot confirm. Okay. And I will stop this video because I would be switching my recording software's FPS to 5 FPS. I would do that and then I would come back to later on. And now I'm back to 5 FPS. The PC is running perfectly fine. Now, but there's a bit of lag and the PC is still slow. Next, I would want the set of file. Now I would go ahead and I will then find a project key for the Office XP software. Or resume browsing. But meanwhile, I would delete that folder, and that's it. I've encountered the errors in this video tutorial, but that's okay. And I would consider installing OpenOffice instead. I would now this is the text file which I created for the project key. Now I would then showcase that when you are running air-gapped security, then you will be. No, I will not talk about this first. Instead, I would wait until what I'm doing is completed. There it goes. Next, I will install OpenOffice, I mean. Now, when you're installing Microsoft Office XP through Office 2010 or Office 2003, Office 2007, whichever you pick, but only the versions for Windows XP, they can be run fully fine on your virtual machine PC on Windows XP. Now, most people believe that they're not the best options for Windows XP. Now, while they can run on Windows XP and while they can still fully function Windows XP, they're not the best options due to the lack of end of support. Now we're going to try OpenOffice instead, and that's what most people say. And but I'm the one who does not encounter trouble when using Office 2003, Office 2007, Office 2010, and Office XP, or even the older Office 97, 4.0, etc. Which most people believe that they have security flaws, etc. And but when you're installing OpenOffice, you're good to go. If you're listening to no, if you are installing OpenOffice, then you're good to go. But if you want to have fully functional and a full-fledged more and more features of the Office suite, then you should try Microsoft Office along with OpenOffice if you prefer the both, like I do. And when you have that set up, if you have that set up, then you can keep working on both suites of your offices on your PC. And in the center screen, no, we need to run this. Package onto the PC, but we will pull this bit until this is done. The Windows install services cannot be still processed. Now we need to fix that issue. I'll cancel the installation, then I will go to my web browser. Then I will type in Windows installer download for Windows XP. No, I'll type in Windows installer downloads 3.0. Press enter, and then I'll click on this here, legacy update, and then next I'll just go to this here, and then I would go through this. The archive.org now finally works because of an issue which I was going to in the video. It now works. It's quite unusual for it to work for most people. Even for me, when it says an error code, then it suddenly works again. But that's a good thing to do, and it's not considered unusual at all. Okay, now I would install Microsoft, no, not the Windows 3.0 one. That's irrelevant. I need to download this. Scroll then, and then I'll click on here to download. I'm not a robot. Block notifications. And no, this website is malicious, and websites is most of those websites is malicious, and it is kind of scammy. The internet is, because cyber security is going to be much more complicated by time moves on, while the internet is going to be getting more and more hostile and dangerous for both legacy PCs, even for my PC, and even the other PCs which I have, even my Windows 7 PC, which I have. And that is the reason why I need to still look for ways to patch all of those systems. And the internet is getting more malicious, etc. And that's how world goes. And I'm still finding the Windows installer 3.0, but they're bombarding me with unreachable download links. They're bombarding me with, and that is the reason why you and I should be a lot more cautious when browsing the internet, especially on my PC, which I have, and even in the virtual machine, and even on a newer PC. Even on that, I need to browse the internet cautiously because they are redirecting me to something else, and I try to go into what I want, they might force me to go to that place. And that's the reason why I need to practice more on the internet. Okay, that's important thing to remember. I would install Windows Installer 3.0, 2.0, no, downloads for Windows XP. There we go. I would download this site. I would download the Microsoft Windows Installer 3.1. I would download this. This is a critical update which you need to do. And the classification said that's critical updates. Now drag and drop this to the window. And then next, I would also move to the Microsoft Windows XP update folder. I would update the Windows installer. And the service pack is newer. Meanwhile, while these do not install, I will just explain that when I'll delete this folder because I no longer need it on my PC. The virtual machine is malfunctioning, but I'll fix that later. Oh, I can then now ask when you install OpenOffice, it will install it directly for you. Now, Microsoft, while Microsoft Windows XP can run Office XP in Office 2003 or even 2010, 2007, they are not the best options due to the end and a lack of support available for those systems and software as well. Instead, we and you will try OpenOffice, but though I deleted it because my computer is stopped working. No, my computer is failing to work. No, my computer is working perfectly fine, but only just my virtual machine is getting slower and dull. That's why I'm still just demonstrating of how my system and your system was doing like that stuff. Now, if you must use Office 2002 XP, 2003, 2007, 2010, you should be capable of using the full suite with more, more features of those suites. Now, Office, OpenOffice is also a free version with more and more features, but Microsoft Office the best version of for Windows XP to run. Well, I also recommend OpenOffice for more and more better security alongside Microsoft Office. That is the recommended combination of when you need of if you need to run both OpenOffice and MS Office. Next, we're moving on to the part which is air gapping, or when to air gap, or when not to air gap. Now, when you plug into Ethernet cable to your Windows XP virtual machine or even your PC, you must have a router with NAT enabled. Now, if you do not have a NAT enabled, even a strong firewall with NAT enabled, you should have a router with a strong, secure firewall, 5G router with strict NAT protocol enabled, but still an unrestricted internet access, still unrestricted PC use. And because the benefit is that even with legacy updates and Submim and NAT, with this all levels combination, and even with a Avast 18.8 but still considered legacy today and device, even with that, the experience is a bit getting more and more secure. But when you air gap it, but if you choose online, then you should use the internet with caution. But nothing happens to me. I am okay with my internet on my host PC. But in your case, if you are using the Windows XP PC on the internet, you should practice a bit more caution in the first layer of your use of the internet with a NAT-enabled browser with Supermeme and antivirus and legacy. And when you gradually get used to the internet on Windows XP, then your experiences is normal and your experience is fast and secure. But though you should then also implement more and more security measures, but you should not air-gap the system. Only the internet browsing security when you're using Windows XP, and that's what you to expect. Next, after you installed antivirus software, Supermium, VLC Media Player, Magic ISO, and legacy updates, and Supermium, as well as with TLS regi registry changes, which I'll show you also right now, you need to click on the Start menu, and then I'll type in regedit, and next I would need to go to HKey local machine software, uh, Microsoft. Go to the Messenger. You also need to disable Messenger. Scroll down, which is essential for security. Go to the Messenger servers. No. Do not use the registry. I found one thing. You need to use the services.msc service program in order to initiate those input actions. Services.msc and then hit enter. Next, scroll to the bottom of the list of services and then you'll need to double click on remote registry and then you need to press on stop. And you also need to temporarily disable USB ports if you are using the system offline. Leave those essential services on, but we need to disable the two of them. Now, I would need to find SMBv1. Now, there's no SMBv1 on this. And I need to also disable print spooler, which is also a security feature. And I need to disable plug and play. No. I highly recommend to leave this checked. And next, disable net meeting is already disabled. And disable messenger. It should be set to disable. If you have those installed, you need to disable them all further while leaving all of the lists in services.msc enabled and started, while the few of them one disabled for security reasons. Now I will test some of how it works on the system. And when just done that, you will see the Sublime web browser is showing you on profiles, signing into your own email account, but you should be doing this only on your real PC with Windows XP when you plan to use it as your main operating system on a daily basis, including the PC, like I do. But since we're using a virtual machine, we should not sign in to your account, and it's just the reason why, because I'm using this virtual machine as a tutorial and a demonstration of how do we make VMware secure to use in 2026. Now, I would need no, the computer is quite slow enough now, and but that is how is my own setup is going to be now, and that is nose. And uh, and that is how to make Windows XP a secure operating system to use with legacy updates and Windows post-release 2009 updates. I will then further test it again to ensure that the PC is fast and functional. Sublime is a modern browser which is backported for Windows XP and for Windows Vista, Windows 7 and above, including the latest Windows 11. And Windows XP is Windows XP is my main operating system that I use, and Windows XP is a lightweight and resource and bloat-free operating system. I use the operating system as my main operating system on a daily basis and in my daily tasks, etc. as a general purpose administrator and a general purpose normal user which uses Windows XP. And that could also be your opinion. I think that other things in front of you, but the most probably you all aren't using the OS as the main operating system, you're using other OSs different, like Windows 11, which is different to me. I find Windows XP as reliable and stable and fast enough, while I find Windows 11 as alienating and not as good for my daily computing needs. But remember, that is in my personal opinion, and you can see here that the performance is very slow and sluggish. But that is okay, and that is how to make Windows XP a secure operating system while in 2026 with legacy updates and all of the registry. No, I'll show you the registry in my next video with services.msc etc. I've implemented in this video. And that's pretty much it, and goodbye.